what is machine learning? Any polls, questions? What machine learning comes to your mind if you hear machine learning? Here is what the kind of definition which people said. A wordy definition which defines computer as learning from past data and predicting future. But that's like wordy. I don't like those things. I try to make things as simplified as possible. So to do that, I'm going to take a very simple example. I guess most of the people have done some kind of programming in their life, some point of time. Anything, any language doesn't matter, right? So why don't we compare traditional programming versus machine learning? How that is different, right? In traditional programming, what happens? You have a computer, a computing device. You start with some data. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. I've kept it very, very simple. 4 numbers, that's all. And then the programmer has been tasked with a rule, a concept. Let's say, okay, do this thing. He has been told very specifically, this is your goal. This is what you have to achieve. Once the programmer, let's say the programmer has been asked in this very program to write a simple program, which takes the input number and just squares it. That's it, right? And depending on the choice of the language and success, compilations and everything goes fine, the computer will give the output and the results would come out, and the 1 will become 1, 2 will become 4, 3 will become 9, and so on and so forth. So that's what is going to come out as the output from that system, right? This is what has been happening for decades and decades. Many of you must have left their bread and butter through this for several decades. But that's what is changing in the machine learning world. It starts very similarly. Of course, there has to be a machine which can learn, a computing device, a system. Let's take the same numbers. Let's take the input of data is same, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here is the difference. In machine learning, what happens, the data where we have an output data already provided to us. So we have that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's this output data. If you can put your mind to this and look for a pattern, what has happened? What change has happened? Look at the input and the output data. Anybody can guess what's the pattern?
Square into 2 and then square into 3.
Okay, okay. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. So it's a cube. What did you do in your mind for a few seconds? I think there was a little hustle back and forth, but eventually everybody agreed upon its cube. What you did in your mind? You did machine learning in a very, very simplistic way and in a very right way. So you took the first number and looked at the first number, output. 1 is 1, okay, can't draw some inference out of it. 2 became 8, which tells us something. Seems like a cube. Let me try with another value. You did that. And 3 became 27, cube became, okay, my hypothesis, my logic seems to be working fine. And then you tested that with a final number. And then as soon as you got the 4th number right, you said, okay, within seconds you said, wow, this is my answer. It took you a few minutes. I never told you anything. You figured in your mind, right? Only thing is, instead of these 4 numbers, if I gave you 4 million records or 4 billion records, and the formula was not cube, it was some very complex logic, we human beings would have backed off very quickly, right? That's where we back off. And that's where machines come into picture. They do the same thing, exactly the same thing. There is no rocket science there. Machine learning is hyped too much, but it's honestly is doing very much same phenomena with trial and error and trial and error and trial and error. It will say, oh, this seems to be my model and this is my formula. That's exactly what they do. Only thing is, machines don't get tired. They're much more efficient. They don't ask for pay raise. They don't ask for holidays and all of those fun things which make them much more powerful. And there are more algorithms and things around it. So we got an output, which was cube. So we got this model, right? That's what machine learning happening. It's very different from what's happening in the traditional world. We had a formula which was provided to us and we were writing a program. Here the formula or the model which we call as is coming out from the machine. Once we have that model, we'll apply it to future numbers, let's say 5, right? And that will become 125. I'm not going to put you in the pressure of late evening, too much math, right? So 125. But that's how it applies. So we have seen traditional programming, how things are happening and how it's happening in machine learning.